You, what going on? Hey, thanks for everyone out there listening in Radio Land and everybody that's on the Row FM live and on Save Difference live as well. Keep in mind that you can check in with us obviously on 101.3 Row FM and through the Row FM live stream or on the TuneIn app, or you can go to the Same Difference page and watch and listen that way as well. So sorry about starting late. We had some technical difficulties and some issues because I'm in the mainland and I forgot that we are now in daylight savings time. So that means that we're actually behind the Virgin Islands in time. So I apologize. But let's get this show on the road, man. Let me start this all over again. You, thanks for joining us on a different day with Jah and
Neci, who was here on time.
You know she's shady bad, so she gotta let you know. She was here on time, but I forgot. I forgot. That's on me, and that's on whoever still care for daylight savings time. But if you're listening on the live, please, please, please go ahead and share the live so they could join the conversation live with us too, because we take live comments and there's some stuff on the screen that you just won't get on the radio, obviously. But we have a great episode in store for you. If you're having any issues when you're on the TuneIn app or anything like that, something is loud or whatever, let us know because we can't really tell. But thanks again, like I said, for joining us this Sunday. So the first topic, I ain't gonna waste no time since I done late, man. The first topic we're gonna start with today is gonna be walking up versus wutlessness. What do I mean by that? So we have carnival season at different times throughout the year. It's different for every Caribbean place, every Caribbean nation, and even for our small three islands, they're at different times, right? But we all love to fet. We love to walk up and go on bad and stuff like that. I ain't no feta personally, but people love it. That's a staple and a highlight of the year for a lot of people. So how do we tell the difference between what's walking up and what's wutlessness? Uh, so if you're wondering why we weren't here last week, that's because the Same Difference page and our access to the Row FM page was blocked by Mr. Zuckerberg. We got zucked basically, and that's because we posted a picture on the page that I guess was either reported or they thought was a little bit too scantily clad. Unfortunately, you won't be able to see it, but it's on the screen on Raw FM Plus, and it is two young ladies having fun, going on bad in the Juve. Because what was it last week? That was what it was Uber Soca last week, right? Nisi? Anyway, last Thursday was Uber Soca. So they were going on bad at Uber Soca for the Juve. And one of them was bending over. The other one was, pretending to do something with the booty that apparently Mark didn't like and we got banned. Now, there were some visceral reactions to this. And for me, I don't think it was that serious or anything that hadn't happened before, but there were people talking about they should be arrested even for indecent exposure. I do not think it was even close to that serious compared to some of the stuff that I've seen, because I know you've seen the video of the young lady walking up on a police officer in uniform on duty, bending over, going on bad on this man, and reaching back and grabbing his throat, his belt, everything. So, Nisi, what do you think about that?
I think I just want to clarify one thing. I believe one of the young ladies said that they are friends and they staged that picture. So it wasn't like a random thing that happened. They actually staged it.
Yeah.
And again, they weren't, to me, I've seen people dress worse doing worse things. On the Jewish road, on the Jewish truck during parade day and so forth. But there is a clear difference between the two scenarios. Again, the view of the place, which police to determine what's appropriate or not.
Say that again. Your phone was breaking up a little bit.
Oh, sorry. Oh, and I was just saying that one of the young ladies, I believe she confirmed that they are friends and that they staged the picture.
Mm-hmm.
So it was not something that two random people just end up doing. It was just for jokes and entertainment. Like, I guess people took it more seriously than others.
Yes.
And for them, it was just they was just being silly during the Juve route.
Correct, and we actually have their response, and I agree with it. It is just them having fun. Where I don't know, is there a line though? Who distinguishes a line? You know what I'm saying? We've come a long way from where Carnival started in the first place. You know what I'm saying? Like, it isn't like when Carnival started, this is how people were dressing. This is what people were doing anyway. We've already turned it into something else at this point. So who are we to determine what other people can do? But anyway, here's the response from a young lady. I never thought a little shake in the face would turn into this. Bestie, why they don't mind their business and leave us alone? I must say we had a blast. I agree with like, people should just mind their business. That would help so many of us to have a happier life. So you heard the response, right?
Yeah, and also they were doing this at what was supposed to be an adult-only event. Technically, it was on a public street, so you can't help but have other people from the community or those who are underage to have been there or watch or participate, because it wasn't a public street. But the cruise itself is an adult-only cruise, and you have to be 21 to even go on the cruise. So I think, just in jest, they're expecting that it's an adult-only scenario. They're having fun. They're doing, again, they staged it. It's, they're friends. Which is, I'm okay with what they're doing once they're both in agreement. It was consensual. It wasn't anything out of the, I've seen worse things. Even during the actual period, I've seen worse things. But that's a different conversation.
True. It is a different conversation. Now, how do we? So first, let's touch on the too many children thing, right? Is Juve an appropriate place for children? Because I did see a video also. Unfortunately, I didn't think to go ahead and get that video and upload it. But I did see a video where a young lady who had done Uber Soca Cruise a few times, and she was from the States. She had done Uber Soca Cruise a few times, and she had loved everything about Uber Soca except for when she got to St. Croix, and she said she's seen a bunch of children. Do you believe that Juve is a place for children, or should there be an age range for that?
So I think, I know you asked one question, but I think you asked two separate questions. So I just want to clarify for people listening that I have also done Uber Soca. I've been an avid cruiser of that cruise. The point of the cruise, it is an adult-only cruise. So all of the events are catered to adults only. There are no children at any of these events. Even when they go to their land destinations, there aren't children there. So when I cruised, we went to Haiti and, oh my gosh, and somewhere else. When we landed, we were in an excluded area where it was only us that was there. So we weren't integrating with the community and being able to have the children witness what was happening from the participants of the cruise. So I think only recently with the cruise now going to these smaller islands and being on the road itself, like last year they were in St. Thomas, this year being St. Croix, they also went to other islands as well. And actually being on the street, you can't help but, you can't control who is there on the road during that time when you're trapping on a public street. I think that's one of the reasons also why school was not out in terms of the governor actually dismissing school for the day. So I guess that responsibility falls on the parents for having the kids out there. I'm not knocking any of the parents. I'm just saying that's just what happened. Some of the parents was like, go ahead and have fun, do it, it's whatever, go to the Juve. Because technically we do that from a young age here as part of our, I guess you would say, part of our culture, I would say. It is someplace to have kids. Some of the, necessarily, I don't always agree, but I know that I went as a child. I've had great experiences as a child, and I went as an adult as well. So I have the two sided of the coin kind of thing to say, but like you said, it's actually evolved from when I was young. It's no longer what it was then to what it is now. So I guess the question is, what do we want it to be for us versus it is what it is. We can't turn back the dial per se, but what do we want it to be for us?
That's a good question. Personally, I'm all about culture, right? And when I say culture, I do mean art, food, music, people, stuff like that, the history. So I would love for there to be more culturally engaging stuff put in there, that would make people wonder, where did they get this from? You know what I'm saying? Like, I love to see mokojumbis and stuff in parades and stuff like that there, where it's like it originated from somewhere. And I applaud anyone that's trying to go out and just have a good time, because Lord knows we need it. But I think we do need to get back to infusing the more culturally appropriate stuff, like where it's appropriate for everyone. But Juve itself, I don't know if that is really a place for children anyway, because unfortunately there is violence that happen. It's large crowds. You know what I'm saying? It can be dangerous. What do you think?
I think, unfortunately, I just want to say violence can happen anywhere. Yes, maybe it's more likely to happen at the Juve because there is there's alcohol involved.
Yeah.
But I don't want to say that it can be inclusive. We have Family Defense Deepest Life does their own Juve trapping and serenading as well. The kids go out to that. We don't complain about when they're over there.
Okay.
So I definitely want to make sure we're being open-minded in the conversation and what we see. I go to the Stanley Juves too, and it's very culturally appropriate. It's very in tune with us, and it always has an amazing turnout as well. So people are doing the culturally appropriate things by participating in those things, and not everything is geared towards the culture, but it's part of the celebration. So we can't separate one without the other per se. Because if you take one out, then they're gonna say, well, look, this one too, and then it becomes I think it'll turn into like a nitpicking kind of situation. What do you think?
I think people nitpick anyway, especially Caribbean people. They nitpick regardless, right? Like, it doesn't matter it could be something volunteering for the community. People will find something to complain about. You get what I'm saying? And I've seen that. Like, you shouldn't have done this. You should have done it this way or did this. And the people that complain the most are usually the ones that do the least. So, as far as
that's funny too, I just want to that's funny too is these while you're complaining, some people's complaints may be valid. If you don't want your kids there, don't send them.
Sure.
Don't send your kids to those events if you don't want them to participate because you don't feel it's appropriate for them. And I respect that. But also know those people are the ones I would love to see at the children's parade, sitting there cheering the kids on when they're actually doing children appropriate things. Because as we know, the children's parade always has a lack of participation from our island going out to support these kids. But for adult parade, you can't find a place to sit. Much less that. So it's like, are you really upset about the Juve, or because you're not going to the children's things and supporting the kids? So what are you really upset about?
If you didn't know, and you're tuning in just now, if you didn't know, Neci is serious about the children's parade thing and the lack of participation. It is disheartening because them little ones put a lot of effort in as well. You check? What? No, it's saying nothing plain on the thing. All right. So them children put a lot of effort in. Same way. And why wouldn't you want to see them little cute children walking on the road and doing their thing and, putting their hearts into something that they've spent a bunch of time working on? Same way. Why do you think that has, dropped? Why do you think the children's parade participation has dropped anyway?
think it's just always been an issue. Initially, before when the racetrack was up, they used to have the Christmas race. Used to be that day, and we know horse racing is really a big thing here. So it took away from, or I would say, distracted from people going there. St. Thomas also had that issue with their horse racing was on the day of the children's parade. Now that St. Croix no longer has a horse racing track, to use as an excuse, the stigma still stands with the participation at the children's parade. What I will say though, last year is I make a decision to go to the children's parade every year as long as I'm capable to. Is that there was a lot of dads last year at the kids parade supporting and participating in the kids parade with the children, and I absolutely loved to see it, and I hope that is what's going to continue as well, because we know moms are usually there, and not that we don't have great active dads, but there were a lot of dads at the parade last year, and I absolutely loved it, and I hope we have the same thing this year. So it's just a matter of, I don't want to say that the kids aren't there. The kids are out there doing their thing. Maybe people are saying they have to work. People are saying, jobs aren't closed. But I know I would take my good vacation and put it aside to go see my kid in the parade because my job wasn't going to see me. So that's my preference, but not everybody has that ability to do that. I'm not saying that's a one blanket solution, but I would just say if you have the capability to plan around it, go on and support the kids. I don't even have a little, minor child to be in a parade, but I make an effort to go see these babies because they deserve it. And they work really hard to practice and to learn their routines and walk the whole route. And I love that for them.
So St. Croix a commenter says St. Croix was always day after Christmas for horse races. I think it's more about people having to work that day in the private sector. Is that true? When you're home, you still got to work during children's parade and stuff?
Well, children's parade is the first Friday by law, the parade is the first Friday and Saturday of the year. So just want to clarify, it's the first Friday and Saturday of the year. So if January 1st is a Saturday, the parade will not happen on the 31st. It'll be the following week. So it is on a Friday. I do agree some of the private sectors are open for business, but the government itself, which is the majority of the employment population, is closed on Friday for children's parade. So if I'm in the private sector, like which I am, I make an effort to use my time, even if it's a half a day, to go out and support the kids at the parade. I do encourage you guys to do the same who are in the private sector. If you have the capability to use some of your time and go out and celebrate the kids and show even if it's for an hour or whatever that may look like for you, the kids deserve it. You talk about them being our future and being so integral in our future, but we have to also show them that we mean it. And like you said, I go hard for them, Sharon. Yeah. So that's my passion. That's my thing. And I just know that I will be there again. And I hope to see many of you out there with your cheers cheering on the kids as well.
Sure. Another commenter says the children's parade was packed for 2023-2024 festival, though. I personally, I wouldn't know. Juve and home for Christmas hasn't seen me in years. So was it packed last year or I don't know.
I would not say it was packed, but I would say the attendance was a lot better last year. Like I said again, there was a lot of dads out walking the parade route in troop shirts and giving kids ice and making sure the kids were good, and I absolutely love to see that. So there were more people there. Was it anything as close to adults parade? Absolutely not. I would love to see something similar to what's there for the adults to be there. But I also want to make sure we're encouraging our kids to join troops and participate in the parade. That's what makes the parade lengthy to begin with, having the kids in the parade. So whether they're joining their school troops or the majorettes or the Makojumbis or I think Stanley has a quadrille troop for the kids or whatever that organization may be, make sure that we're encouraging our kids to be a part of our culture. and do that. My kids have definitely been in the parade. Was not enough. They had to be culturally invested in something. The route that they took was steel pan, and they did that. Because I did steel pan when I was young, and I was in the parade, and they did it as well. So I just think it's important to create some type of cultural connection with our kids and find something that we can tie them to.
Okay, thank you for that. And shout out the Rising Stars and the other steel pans because they've been doing their thing for a long time, and we appreciate you guys. Lone Wolf Marshall asks or says there is no horse track anymore, or did they fix it? So the horse track, if I'm not mistaken, I'm pretty sure they posted about them doing work. They started work on the horse track. Is it ready? No. I don't know how far away it is, but I know they're supposed to be working on it right now to bring back horse racing. Correct me if I'm wrong here, Neci.
No, it's not ready. It's not open. It's not ready.
But they did start work on it.
Expected date when it's going to be.
But they did start breaking ground and they working on it, right?
There was some mobilization on the property for them to begin. I think I did see some movement. How far along that is or how long it'll take to do that, I don't have that information.
That's what's up. Yo, what going on, Raven? Big up yourself.
Hey, Apostle.
Apostle Scott in the building. There is no good calypso music in the VI no more. Nah, man, we can't say that there. Oh man, what is his name?
Absolutely disagree.
We can't say that. What's his name? Just drop a song that is turning up. Man, what is his name? Oh man, because they played it on 101.3. I got huh? Yeah, Nayora just dropped a new song for festival. And notice I'm just saying this is one that I know of. I'm not saying this is the only track for Carnival. But Nayora just dropped a tune and he collabed on it and it got a bouillon beat. And that's somebody that you wouldn't expect to be doing that. But there's good calypso music in the VI, man. We walking. Mind you, Jamban is quite the shoes to fill, and Daddy Friday is quite the entertainer to try to come up behind. But I still think there's plenty of bands doing it.
There are. I even Compa just dropped a new song as well. It's very groovy. I hear the little kids singing it. I think it'll be very popular for the children's parade and stuff. So they are definitely appropriate songs. I would not say that there's no good calypso songs. There definitely is. If you haven't, listen to 101 through Ru FM, and you will definitely hear it in the rotation. But the people are dropping songs as the season approach, and I'm sure more songs will be releasing soon. So we always have a mix of, upbeat songs, and we always have a groovy song. So I can't agree with that at all.
Yo, there was actually another band that Sai just interviewed. I think this was Friday. And they dropped another tune, and then they played another one for the Wet Fest. Listen, maybe they haven't dropped yet. Let's say that. Maybe the good calypso music hasn't dropped yet because they've been holding it up for festival time. I can say that because I know as soon as Carnival come around, like it'll be an influx of music dropping all at once. And it makes sense. Because that's when the most people going to be consuming it, and you want to drop it right before so you could try to win Road March and get some sort of excitement and buzz going. Raven said, Ja, the only thing I want to hear you say is you're coming for Crucial and Christmas. You must be paying for my ticket.
Right.
I want to know.
And Ja can't come Crucial and Christmas if he ain't going to the Juve. So that is a mandatory requirement for him to come for Christmas.
Speaking of Juve should be for all ages and should connect to the cultural aspect of festival/carnival. The more we respond, don't let the kids attend or even say to adults, if you don't like it, then don't attend, is the more this key aspect of festival becomes less inclusive. We should move in the other direction so families and friends coming together to celebrate our freedom and history in a fun way. Adults have multiple events during festival carnival for more what quote unquote what less behavior. So we definitely don't want to run nobody off. We're not trying to run anybody off on Juvenile, even the children. I do have a concern about just saying all children are allowed. I don't know, man. That's a scary thing with that sea of people, and for children, to be up in the mix of it. I don't know. Maybe they could be on the sidelines with parents. You know what I'm saying? But to say that Juve is for all children, I don't know. But let us know what you think in the comments. Do you think that Juve should be for all ages, from 8 to 80 and beyond? What do you think? Let us know in the comments. Nisi, what do you think about that?
I think another mention in regards to what I said earlier about if you don't like it, don't let your kids attend, because let's be real, not everyone is okay with for whatever reason, if it's religious or personal beliefs, in the parades and the juvies and so forth, which is okay. So that's for those people. I said, if it's not something that you like or you want your kids to, then it's okay to not send them, because that's your children and you govern your kids accordingly, and that's okay. So that's what I was saying, is don't send them if that's not for you. What I am saying is that we have this event. Children do go, children do attend. It is free to the public. It's on the open street. You cannot control who goes or who doesn't go, unless you're having a closed, private, paid event somewhere where you're monitoring the age group and checking IDs. This is not one of those things. Mm-hmm. But I would like to see more diversity in the music on the road. Mm-hmm. Because which we do have, and I don't want to say we don't, because there's the young bands that attract the kids, and there's the older band that attract the adults. So there is that aspect, but I would like to see a more broader spectrum of it on the road. That would be absolutely amazing. I also know going on the road is not cheap, nor is it free. So I know, just saying that it's just my opinion. It's not. I can't make that a reality, because putting those trucks on the road and getting the band or the artists to perform and making sure that you have a sound system and all of that. There's a lot that goes into putting a truck on the road for Juve. It is not a cheap experience that people are trying to give us. So when we do have people participating, just know a lot went into it, and we do appreciate those people who do put the Juves on and create Juve troops and have bands on the road for us to be able to continue to celebrate this as part of our cultural experience. So I'm not taking away from any of that. It's just that we were just saying about the Uber Soca and some other comments that was made about keeping the kids home if you want to for that. But it's up to you as the parents. If you want to expose your kids to it, absolutely do it. But make sure you're teaching them about it as well. It's not just just go take them to the food fair also. There's a food fair, you take them to the food fair, take them to Stanley and the 10 Sleepless Nights when they're having their 40 man and serenade as well. Like, let's do all of it. Let's make sure we're giving them the true cultural experience.
Awesome. Lone Wolf Marshall says, music don't have stories to it like what Friday used to do. No promoter don't like old school. DJs are not bands. I'm a DJ and I can't. Bugsy Bugs just dropped one. BZB just dropped one as well. He did. I'm just terrible with names, man. Forgive me. I'm terrible remembering the names.
Yeah, a few people did drop, and I'm not sure the complete list, but there was a few people that started to drop, and there's a few we haven't heard from yet. So it's just November 3rd. So people are probably before the month's over, we're going to hear a few more songs being dropped.
We're coming up on a commercial break. For those of you out there in Radioland and on the TuneIn app, keep it locked right here. We'll be right back after this short break. But in the meantime, I do want to leave you with this question before we come back, because we're going to be talking about it in the chat. So, what would you do if you found out your significant other got a paternity test behind your back? How would you feel about that? How would you react? So just chew on that, and then we'll continue the conversation when we come back. Keep it locked right here on the USVI's #1 station, 101.3 Raw FM. Yo, chat. All right. So the man said Bugsy Bugs just dropped one. He did. That's what I'm telling you. Keep your eyes open for the next month or so. Like, they're gonna be coming out. They're gonna be coming out for the next month or so. And I hope pretty soon, if it hasn't already, I hope that they drop the Village lineup too. Cause that's another thing. I don't know what's up with that. Lone Wolf says, no, not for children because how females dress and what the message bring. Replying to, should children attend Juve and whatnot? Now, let me ask how it is. As a woman, you out there, you doing your thing or whatever, and then somebody come dance behind you, you look back and you see it's a child. You know what I'm saying? You see it's a young dude. Aren't you gonna feel some type of way? So the question is, should Juve be age restricted? Should it be only for certain ages, or should we make it to where it's appropriate for all ages? Because that will bring restrictions in itself. What do you think? Tell us in the chat. I was with Heatwave Sound back in the day. Enforcement hired all the bands back in the day. Denisha Doward says she agree with wifey. Of course you do. That's your wifey. Have children always been going to Juve? I think like teens. You know what I'm saying? Like teens have no. Explain.
I went to Juve as an elementary school student. And when I was living in Red Brick, we even had shirts made. They had shirts made for the kids. We all had shirts with our name on it. There was some bright shirts, I guess maybe not so we don't get lots to go missing. And the adults took us with them, and nothing inappropriate happened with us. We were well monitored and well guarded, but we were able to join the festivities. They fed us after they brought us back home and everything. I did a few years. There's different ways to enjoy the culture. And you can't, again, it's a public street. You cannot govern who goes and who doesn't go. That's why they have those Juve troops. I don't know if you've noticed, but they have Juve troops. And they have an event before the Juve starts, where it's just for the paid members, usually 18 years you have to be to join the Juve troop. I believe, I don't want to misspeak. For any of them, and they have an event prior to the Juve starting. So for those who just want that exclusive adult experience, some of the Juve troops does provide that, and then after they just go on the road and they have the regular Juve. That's my understanding of the process. Okay. So you in every culture, in every Caribbean culture, they have this exact event with different names, and it's not excluded from the kids. What we probably need to teach our kids is discernment about when they're going and how they're behaving. But we also know not everyone behaves well, and some do behave well. So some people do have their kids on the side of the road with them watching and following along. Some of them, depending on the age, let them go and join their favorite band might be playing. Go hear your band. It's almost like saying the band is performing in the village, and you don't want the kids to go to the village to hear the artists perform. Like these bands perform in the village is free as well. So the only difference is that we're not actually on the road moving, but these are the bands that are in our villages as well. And those kids go to the village and they hear these bands perform and they enjoy their music.
Okay. So a question for the chat, right? What would you like to see? What would you like to see brought into the festival season? What events would you like to bring back? Like anything that we've stopped doing that you would like to see brought back? So that's a question for the chat. Lone Wolf says Juve was free and fun, not to watch female half naked. I don't know. I went when I was a teenager, which was a while ago, and they were half naked then.
But aren't they half naked in the parade? What's the difference?
I mean, the costumes have been that way for as long as I can remember. I mean, I don't know. I don't know how old he is too. I know it didn't start there. I know that for a fact. Like Juve and Carnival and stuff, when it first started, it was different. So I would love for us to find out some of the stuff that they did, maybe bring back some of that, so it could be more culturally aware. Tanisha says, if there's nothing to hide, I don't think the others should care. Yes, now that is the real problem with Juve. What is the real problem with Juve? Now, keep in mind, when I said something about it being dangerous and violence and stuff, yes, violence ensues, not necessarily saying that we're a violent people, but like when you put large crowds together, add alcohol and bumping and stuff like that there, Like, and in a place like the VI, like you can't dance with other people, man and woman and stuff like that. Like, yes, violence does ensue. And there was also a video I saw where it was another Caribbean country's own, but unfortunately, a young lady was run over by one of the truck. She was walking up, wasn't paying attention, slipped, fell down, and the truck ran her over. So, no, that was in another Caribbean country.
Did not the girl that did the headspin under the truck wheel?
I think so.
She didn't split, but she chose to but that the difference is that I want to shout out VIPD, because the difference is VIPD, they are around those trucks and they are there for a reason. They are there to ensure that exact example does not happen to our people. And while some people might be like sometimes they're too serious, whatever, they have to take their job seriously, because the outcome could be dangerous for someone else. So I do respect what they're doing when they're around those trucks. I do respect when they're trying to keep people away and moving you out the way. Yeah. Them trucks don't stop. Those trucks don't stop instantly when you're driving your regular car. That's not what those things. Those tires on those trucks are meant to pull heavy loads. Yes. We aren't those things. So those things impact you, can cause serious damage or death. And I did not see that they had anyone around the truck where that incident happened in terms of security or someone keeping people away. I didn't see that was there in the video that was shown. But for us, we do have VIPD out there around the trucks, making sure that does not happen.
Shout out VIPD for doing their job and keeping people safe. Now, keep in mind, if Juve is for all ages, right? You think them children would be thinking about their safety and stuff like that? That's another thing where I'm like, should it be for all ages? So, I mean, that's something to consider at the very least. I'm not trying to talk anyone out of anything. I'm just saying it's something as a parent that I've thought of. Another comment, go ahead. Another commenter says, I think no matter what we try to do, there will be no changes. Time has changed and some things are just beyond our control. I mean, we could implement some changes, and once it may not catch on immediately, but once it does, I mean, that's something that's new. Like even the where we are now, it's because things changed. Can we change some of them back? Maybe if we try to. You were gonna say something?
No, I was just gonna say that I hear what you're saying, and I hear your thoughts on it. I personally I don't agree with you really. No, and I say that because, like I just said, that's cool. There are people on the road of different. There's the young bands that the kids are truck, and there's older bands. You have your Fire International, and you have your other bands that attract the older people, and you can see the difference in the crowds on the road. But it's the same thing as in the village. When they have your Bugsy and all of those people performing in the village, they draw a younger crowd that night at the village. When you have reggae night, we know we attract our Rastafarian community comes up. And man, I still got in English village last year when they were. I wanted to go, but when I see what happened with reggae night last year, but they came out for their artists for reggae night, just like Latin night is the same way. The Latin artists come, the community comes out. So you can't control that in that way in a public open forum is what I'm just trying to say.
Okay. Before Hugo, after Hugo, not after 2000s, Juve was free. The fun between the bands, 17, Burning Flames, Generation, Enforcement. Christy Krieger says she'd like to bring back King and Queen of the band. I've heard that several times.
I miss that so much. I miss that so much. I miss that, and I miss troops actually doing a routine. I miss seeing routines on the road. Have fun and do your stuff, but every now and again, I like to see a routine. So yes, King and Queen of the band, absolutely, and routines. That's my two votes.
I've actually heard a lot of people talk about that. Is that when they have those like really big costumes? And
yes, it's like the section, it's like the leader of the section. It's usually have one big you have two big ones, a king and a queen, and then you have other ones that lead each section. So it is those big ones that be on wheels and so forth. Yes. So
Okay.
absolutely.
Okay. Yeah, I'm definitely down for that. I would actually like to see actual real parade floats. Like if I ever see how Brazil Carnival is, which is a real, that's a carnival, son. That's a show. That's an experience. Like I would like to see us implement carnival floats into it on a grand scale. I think that would be dope.
That's a different level of parade and carnival.
For sure, but at least we could do it on a less grand scale. Like at some, we could take notes from all these other places and integrate it. Not saying that we need to be copying. We still need to give it our own flair. But I think that would be a good addition because that's really what a parade will be, man. Like floats and king and queen and the band, big showy stuff. That's what a parade will be. But hey, and if you're listening right now, thank you so much for tuning in. We appreciate it. We would appreciate if you could go ahead and share this live so others could go ahead and join the conversation as well, so we could get the word out about a different day with Jah and Neci. We love the engagement and it's very strong. We appreciate it. We just would love more seats in the difference maker position. You get what I'm saying? Because everybody that tunes into a different day, we like to call y'all difference makers because that's what we're about, not just about talking. Now, y'all get exclusives. Y'all get to see videos that other people don't get to see. So speaking of children, what would you do in this situation? We're going to play a little clip for you. Tell us what you would do in this situation.
If he went ahead and took a paternity test without your knowledge, and then you found out about it, would that upset you?
Yes. I mean, if he doesn't tell you, doing anything behind your, communication and trust is bigger than the relationship. I mean, trust is the relationship, in my opinion.
Women are always assured of paternity. Men are the only ones who are ever going to have doubts about paternity. I don't think that it even has anything to do with whether or not they trust their partner, but rather it's just peace of mind. So if you set up the option of, if you asked me for a paternity test, I would get super offended and I would be upset about it. What choice are you giving them except to go ahead and go behind your back?
The thing is, my expectation is that he trusts me.
Yeah, but I'm not sure that it's an indicator he doesn't.
Yeah. So what do y'all think? What do y'all think about that? Neci, did you hear it?
I heard it.
All right. So what do you think about that? Is it wrong for your significant other, doesn't matter how many years or how much time, is it wrong for them to go ahead and do a paternity test? Let's say they did it and then they come back and tell you. How would you feel about that? What would you tell them? What would you do? Mauricia says, in these days, some parents don't have control of their children. Life itself is hard and parents are just busy trying to do their best by example, making sure bills are paid, etc. So it's less time with the children. Correct. True. You were going to say something? Go ahead.
No, I thought he was asking a response to your question. You know my stance. You know I'm a hardcore advocate of paternity testing. For paternity testing at birth. I think it should be done at birth. I think that the only person that should be able to opt out of it is the father, if he chooses so, by signing a waiver or something, whatever that may be. But I think that it should be done at birth. And it's not even, the fathers have no, besides the mothers telling them that they're the father, they have no real proof that they are. And I think that they should. I think if I go open a bank account and I know I put $5,000 in there and I go back in there and they tell me, well, we told you it was your $5,000, but it really wasn't yours, and then you lose your $5,000. Now what? You'll be pissed. You'll be upset. You lose your money.
Yes.
But I don't want to compare children to money per se. I want to say we have control of everything else that we do, that we tie our name to, and I think our children should be. They are the most important things, and I think fathers should be absolutely, unequivocally, without a doubt, have that. And I think that it should just automatically be done, if it's by law, to take it out of the hands of the emotional parents to decide if we're doing it or not. But it also gives you a chance to do genetic testing and stuff from early to see if there's anything on both sides that we need to look at or look for in these kids. Because if something happens to your child later on, you have to get tested in order to determine. And I personally know someone that found out when their child needed to be tested, or the child that they thought was theirs had to be tested, and they went to do their test, and he found out that that was not his child because the blood type does not match. And I think that was it was heartbreaking to watch, it was heartbreaking to witness, and it was heartbreaking to experience. And I was not personally affected, but then again, what I did not like was we don't cover these men and give them the love that they need when these things happen. And then the woman gets emotional. We have to be like, oh, was she upset? Well, let she be upset. I'm sorry. Let her be upset. That's my vote.
Darren asks, what I miss. We're going to run it back one more time for you, and then we'll run it again when we're back on.
If you took a paternity test without your knowledge, and then you found out about it, would that upset you?
Yes. I mean, if he doesn't tell you, doing anything behind your, communication and trust is bigger than the relationship. I mean, trust is the relationship, in my opinion.
Women are always assured of paternity. Men are the only ones who are ever going to have doubts about paternity. I don't think that it even has anything to do with whether or not they trust their partner, but rather it's just peace of mind. So if you set up the option of, if you asked me for a paternity test, I would get super offended and I would be upset about it. What choice are you giving them except to go ahead and go behind your back?
The thing is, my expectation is that he trusts me.
Yeah, but I'm not sure that it's an indicator he doesn't.
Yeah.
All right, here we go. We're coming back. What going on? That was Sideways by JT. Thanks for tuning in to A Different Day with Jah and Neci. We're back. We were having a previous conversation in the first half. We were talking about, Juve and walking up versus Wutlessness and gang participation for the Children's Parade. That's one of Neci's, that's one of her, I need to check the box on this. She's an avenger when it comes to the Children's Parade, and she wants that participation up. And I don't blame her. Support the children, them same way you support the adults. So now, speaking of children, we went into another topic, which it was the case of children, basically paternity. So we're going to play this clip for you guys, and you tell us what you think.
If he went ahead and took a paternity test without your knowledge, and then you found out about it, would that upset you?
Yes. I mean, if he doesn't tell you, doing anything behind your, communication and trust is bigger than the relationship. I mean, trust is the relationship, in my opinion.
Women are always assured of paternity. Men are the only ones who are ever going to have doubts about paternity. I don't think that it even has anything to do with whether or not they trust their partner, but rather it's just peace of mind. So if you set up the option of, if you asked me for a paternity test, I would get super offended and I would be upset about it. What choice are you giving them except to go ahead and go behind your back?
The thing is, my expectation is that he trusts me.
Yeah, but I'm not sure that it's an indicator he doesn't.
All right. So like the guy said, so the clip that I just played, in case you were having any issues hearing it, the guy asked a group of women, what if your partner went ahead and had a paternity test without your knowledge, and then he told you? Apparently she would get super offended because it feels like he doesn't trust her. So the guy basically explained how, which she should know, paternity is never an issue for the mother, but it is an issue for the father. We just don't know. So maybe it's a thing of peace of mind. And let's be honest, sometimes when children are born, you can't really tell who the child for them. You can't just look at, some people will be like, oh, that's your eyebrows. You can't tell, look at them, that nostril. You know what I'm saying? Them kind of thing. And that's just not good enough. I really wish that they would just, along with all the blood and the stem cells and the battery of tests that they do on children, I wish they would include this in those tests. Why not just add it to the test to find out who the father is? I would like to know the reasons why we don't, but I really feel like it should be mandatory, or at least the father has the opportunity to opt out. That would be great. And Tanisha has said the same thing. She actually echoes my sentiments. But what did you think about this particular clip? What did you notice in this particular clip?
I noticed it was just all about how she feels and the fact that it should be based on trusting the woman. And so he should have no bearing or right to get confirmation when he can, because she needs to just take your word and to trust you that it's correct. And she would be devastated if the person did it behind your back. On the flip side is, if he didn't do it and just take her word and find out after the fact, and maybe he wants to part ways, in some states, he would still be legally responsible, even if he deemed that he is not the legal father. So technically, it would, he's still held to that standard, even if he found out after that he's not the dad, because he signed the paper at birth. I just want to be very clear. I'm a mom. I have a daughter and I have sons. If you see my son, you would not think that's my son. He don't look nothing like me, but that's my son. However, my daughter looks like me. She's like my mini-me.
True.
Genetics is a thing that we don't know or we can't control in our children. And sometimes somebody can put a seed in someone's mind, which we know does happen and can happen and will continue to happen, that can create doubt in some of these men's minds. Now, if it's done I think it should be done at first, like you said. I've always been an advocate of it being done at first and get it out the way. There will be no issues in the long run. Paternity's been established for both parents. Anything happens with mom or whatever, it's already established. That can take over responsibility legally without any issues, and they can progress. And I think that's so important. It creates a peace of mind for the dad. Just like how mom has a peace of mind, the dad should have a peace of mind too.
Agreed. Let's see what the commenters think. I personally believe paternity should be established at childbirth. Gentleman Style Podcast says, so a man doesn't need to be assured, and he automatically doesn't trust his woman because he asked for a paternity test. A lot of men wearing t-shirts. If in doubt, it's your right to know, with or without. I know I'm going to get bashed. I don't know why you get bashed for that. You see what I'm saying? Like, that's crazy to me. And I believe women lying or manipulating about paternity is evil. Feelings? You agree?
I agree. I definitely. The paternity court has been going on for a while, and that show is still thriving.
For sure.
So stop somebody lying, and we know ain't the men, because they're to find out if they're the dad. So
just to be clear, we don't want to make it seem like it's an overwhelming amount, because statistically, about 1/3 of people that actually go to get a paternity test, about 1/3 of them, or about 33% of them, find out that it isn't theirs. Now, that's not a whopping overwhelming amount. However, 33% of those people that went to just found out devastating news. You get what I'm saying? Like, this woman lied to me, and this can affect the way men think long term. So it may not have anything to do with you. It could be it's happened to him in the past, or he's seen or heard this happened to my partner and stuff like that. So it may not necessarily have anything to do with the trust he has for you. So why not just let it go, and now he has that peace of mind? But again, if you heard the video, it's about her feelings. Anicia made a point during the break in the live stream. Why is it like when they have those paternity tests, right? It comes back that the baby isn't his. He might break down in the courtroom. You know who they go to comfort? The mother. The mother who knew that she cheated. The mother who knew there was a possibility this may not be his child. Ain't a surprise to her.
Because like I said, I personally know someone who went through that experience. There was an issue with the child that the parents had to get tested, for medical reasons, to determine if they were able to support the child. Upon testing, the individual found out that they were not the child's biological father because the blood types does not match. And in that moment, I mean, I understood he created quite a scene. It was very emotional. But the mom started breaking down crying, and everyone seemed to comfort the mom.
Yeah.
From that moment, that whole scenario rubbed me the wrong way, because this man is here for a child that he's raised. The child is in a medical need. He's here trying to support his child with that need. And in the moment he found out that it's not his child, he's not allowed to have a reaction to the news. And I think that we're being so unfair. And this is not a blanket statement. Of course, we know there are amazing, committed, loving women out there and amazing dads as well. But we have seen it. I'm sure you've seen it on the TV, you've seen it on the news, you know someone, you're aware of something. But we have seen that that's what happens. They comfort the mom, and then the dads are just left to deal with the emotional trauma on their own. I think that's very unfair.
Facts. Darren says trust is earned, not given. Children biologically take their markers from the grandparents more than the parents. So it may be the child don't come out looking nothing like him. It come out looking like her. And he might have some questions. I mean, because you know what I'm saying? He don't have them strong genes. But I mean,
but if the paternity is established from birth, that he knows somebody.
Exactly.
Like grandparents, but then you won't ever think it's not. Maybe it's not my child. You just think, oh, it's genetically down the line somewhere. They look like somebody else, and that can happen. I know people who have both parents.
Hold on a second. All right. Just keep it locked to 101.3 Row FM. Don't go nowhere. We're going to take a short break and be right back. We got to pay some bills. All right. Keep it locked. Go ahead, Neci.
I was going to say, I know people who have both of their parents are dark-skinned and they're light-skinned. Come to find out, their great-great-great-grandmother, it was half white. So genetics is one of the things that you can't control how it plays out in the development of a child. But if you've already have the paternity established, it would never be a doubt of the possibility. You would just always know. You just know it's just a genetic makeup. And then sometimes we need to know if your partner has genetic traits that we need to be paying attention to.
Facts. Now imagine, right? you dark skin, she dark skin. And certain genes are recessive, right? You dark skin, brown eyes, she dark skin, brown eyes, and the baby come out dark skin with blue eyes. You confused, but certain genes are recessive. So what? So now, if he asks, where these blue eyes come from? Nobody in my line have this. And he wants a paternity test. You automatically will not understand what he's saying. You won't see, like, I get it. Let me just go ahead and get this out. So he has the proof. He can't tell me nothing. Like, what about, so just like, okay, if somebody asks you, hey, did you get tested? And you tell them, yeah, right? And they ask, hey, let's get tested together. And they pitch a fit. They go off. Oh, you don't trust me? So you don't trust me. You think I just here sleeping with everybody and then I got something and I don't give it to you? And again, we're not comparing children to an STD. Because I know how y'all behave. I know how to go on. We're not comparing children to STDs, right? But I'm saying you won't get the test because so that would be a red flag if somebody start going off, right? When you ask about getting tested.
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to dismiss that the feeling or the response from the mother or the woman when being asked to get the test isn't valid. Did you feel hurt? Do you feel like he thinks you're stepping out and so forth? And you're entitled to have those feelings, and you're entitled to have your response. But I also want that when you're finished with that you go back and you hear him out because he came for a reason. Whatever, maybe sometimes he might feel like maybe he doesn't have the ability to even have kids. If he could, there are people who can't. There's people who feel like they don't. There's people who have a real genetic history where kids don't live after a certain point. Like, these are things that they don't happen often, but these are real things that do happen in real families that affect real people. And having that communication is important. important. Having to be able to say, hey, I want to be able, when the child is born, that we do a paternity test. Not that I don't think the baby is mine, but there's some things that my family help with. We got to make sure it's taken care of or look after to be sure. Like, for instance, in our culture, we have sickle cell runs in African Americans at a higher rate than anybody else. The sickle cell trait. If you don't know, I'll give myself an example. If the trait runs in my family, I didn't know before I was pregnant that it runs in my family. I didn't know that if I have a child with somebody else that has the trait also, that's how you create the disease. I have no idea. I didn't have any idea or had any of this information beforehand. So then we all had to do testing to make sure that doesn't have the trait as well, to ensure that the child doesn't have the disease.
Correct.
Right? But we don't, so these are things that we need to be able to communicate beforehand. If you know there's something that runs in your family, if you know things might be happening, have these tests done. And even if you don't have anything happening in your family, for your own peace of mind, you should have something that gives you the right to say, this is my child. Your car has your name on it, your bank account has your name on it, they verified that it's you to give it to you, you should be able to verify your child.
Boom. Boom. See, that's very well said, Neci. Thank you for that, Dick. Let me read these comments. A couple years ago, my son asked me to buy a test from Walmart. I did. Walmart to sell paternity tests?
You could buy them over the counter.
What? Okay. Thank you. Thank you, Submarine. Thank you for this. A couple years ago, my son asked me to buy a test from Walmart. I did. I swabbed the baby and him. And sure enough, it turned out he was not the father. They broke up. It was bad, but he was saved from a whole lot of headache. Oh, man. Have you ever seen where, like, the father ends up finding out in his child, and then people get mad at him because he don't want no dealings with the child no more?
Yes. Yeah.
Are you wrong?
I've seen it quite a few times.
Is he wrong? Like, if the father finds out this woman been lying, which automatically you start to resent not only the woman, unfortunately, you may resent the child, even though it's not their fault. Is he wrong? Is he wrong if he like been there for like 2-3 years in the child life and stuff like that? That's the only man the child knows. He finds out in his, he decided to leave out. Is he wrong?
I don't feel like he's wrong. I feel like it is complicated and it's complex because now there's feelings and things have intertwined. I have a genuine bond that I created with this child that I totally and wholeheartedly felt and knew was mine. And then the question then becomes too, who is the father? And then, those are the things that goes through Dad's mind is, if the father comes in and wants to be a father to his child, no, I no longer have rights to this child because I'm not the real father anymore. The biological dad was like, well, I want to be a dad. I want to change his name. But I know stuff. I've seen that played out in our community, in this little tiny Virgin Islands St. Croix community, where you find out somebody found out who the dad is, and as an adult, he's an adult, and found out his dad is not his dad. He found out who his real dad is, and having to change. He went through a process to getting his name changed and getting the kids' names changed to their biological last name. How does the father, feel like the original dad feel? It's just, it causes a lot of trauma and generational trauma, especially when we wait too long to resolve these things. Which is why I think it should be done automatically at birth from the hospital, and the dad can be the one to sign a waiver or to say, I do not want to have the child, I don't want to be tested, this is my child and I take responsibility. I think that should happen at birth, and that will just reduce some of the trauma. We're not thinking about the kids. We're not thinking what we're putting the child through.
Yeah, correct.
We're not considering the child's feelings, especially when they're old enough to understand.
I getting behind in the comments, they're going in on this one. Yoshi says, nah, F all that. If you want that test, give it to him, because whether he trusts her or not, look what some of these women doing to men out here. I had a friend in the position where the child looked like a partner. He was dragged twice for texting to find out 12 years later the child was not his. Sad thing is the mother knew the child. Of course she did. Of course she knew. Oh, that's the problem. Of course she's the one. She's the only one in this situation that knows, which to me makes it worse. So the child don't know. The father, the possible father, doesn't know, but you do. But then when you break down crying, anyway, we coming back. Yeah. Thanks for keeping it locked to 101.3 Raw FM. We appreciate all of our supporters. We're about 50 to 60,000 followers strong on the TuneIn app. So keep doing that. We appreciate you. And everybody who has put through an advertisement through Raw FM, we want to thank you for keeping us on air. If you are struggling with your business currently, or you're struggling finding a way to promote your business, please consider letting Raw FM do it for you. All right? But thank you for joining us. It is a different day with Jah and
Neci.
So we were having what was turning into a very lit conversation as far as paternity testing, right? I'm going to play this video one more time for you. So if you're just joining us, you know what we're talking about. So please listen closely.
If he went ahead and took a paternity test without your knowledge, and then you found out about it, would that upset you?
Yes. I mean, if he doesn't tell you, doing anything behind your, communication and trust is bigger than the relationship. I mean, trust is the relationship, in my opinion.
Women are always assured of paternity. Men are the only ones who are ever going to have doubts about paternity. I don't think that it even has anything to do with whether or not they trust their partner, but rather it's just peace of mind. So if you set up the option of, if you asked me for a paternity test, I would get super offended and I would be upset about it. What choice are you giving them except to go ahead and go behind your back?
The thing is, my expectation is that he trusts me.
Yeah, but I'm not sure that it's an indicator he doesn't.
All right. Hope you heard it, but if you didn't, basically the man asked a group of women, if your partner goes and has a paternity test, quote unquote, behind your back, would you be upset about it? And she would, because trust is a big thing. And apparently he broke her trust by doing something behind her back. And the comments have been going off. And we know we did it. Let y'all know in the chat. But I want to put it out there. We are not saying that it is an overwhelming amount of people that are out there wearing shirts. And if you're from the VI, you know what I'm talking about. Depending on who the girl is, it could be a G-man, could be a Haynes, but there are men out there wearing shirts, which is unfortunate. However, the numbers say that about 33%, which is about 1/3 of the men that go to get a paternity test, find out they're not the father. That is not a whopping amount. However, keep in mind, that's the ones that go to get the paternity test, right? That's not all men who have questions or concerns about it or anything like that. So that's strictly for that, because that's the only thing we can gauge. Now, we want to get to these comments because they're getting lost in them right now. Submarine says, a couple years ago, my son asked me to buy a test from Walmart. I did. A couple years ago, I swabbed the baby and him, and sure enough, it turned out he was not the father. They broke up. It was bad, but he was saved from a whole lot of headache. Yoshi says, nah, F all that. If you want that test, give it to him, because whether he trusts her or not, look what some of these women doing to men out here. I had a friend in a position where the child looked like a partner. He was dragged twice for texting to find out 12 years later the child was not his. Sad thing is, the mother knew the child was not his. In response to the clip about a guy taking a paternity test without telling their lady, initially, I would be majorly offended and hurt that he would not come to me with his concerns, but then I'll calm down and realize they probably did not want to cause a stir if the test results came as a match. Still, I'd wonder what prompted this in the first place, especially if I know I've been faithful. And Neci had said already, I think this was during another break on the chat, she was saying that, well, you were saying something to the effect of all it takes is a little bug in your ear to get you thinking. You know what I'm saying? And that thing, once somebody tell you something or any little shade gets thrown your way, it could have a major effect on the way that you think. It should be mandatory before signing the birth paper. Marisha said, yes, so sad. People don't care about men's mental health. Crocodile tears. There are 334 million people in the world. 30% of that is 10, what's that, billion? What's that, 10 million? 10 billion, 20,000. That's a lot of people. I feel something's wrong there. Yeah, there are 334 million people in the world. 30% of that is 10 million. What? Hey, rewrite that. I feel like there's too many zeros. 30% of 334 million is 10 billion?
Sure, move on.
Anyway, and in some states, it's not easy to reverse child support. It's difficult to reverse it, for real. There's a lack of accountability of women by other women. They rather support their feelings instead of checking them. Current population of men in the United States is 168.8 million men. Recessive genes, I agree 100. At times, some of the men that will actually raise the child as their own, it just takes accountability for wrongdoing. The outcome may be surprising. Hey, you know what don't get talked about? There are men that are taking care of children and knowing there isn't. There are men that get cheated on and they still stay. You know the difference though, and why you don't know about that? Men tend not to tell nobody. Like, if I take a shot, you think I can post it on social media? If I'm wearing a shirt other than one that I buy out the store, you think I'm telling you? Anyway. The OG says none of my kids look like me. I hope they look like the fathers then. I have both light-skinned and dark-skinned aunts, same parents, but their grandparents is one biracial grandfather and a variety of tunes with the others. Communication. Boy, the lips alone, that's yours. And you know, people try to talk you out of doing the paternity test. Like, look at them eyelashes. That's your child. Listen, let me get a test. And especially now that I just find out they sell them at Walmart. Listen, Darren, I'm in the same boat. My mother will tell you people thought she was my aunt. And a question that I did pose to the chat. If a man finds out the child or children aren't his, is he wrong to leave both the mom and children? What did you think about that, Neci?
I don't think that he's wrong. I just think that it creates another level of complication that we don't assess. And I don't think we allow or we give some of the men who do find out and who wants to be dads and wants to be amazing dads when they find out that it's not their kid, we don't give them enough support to process through the information that they receive. And of course, the decisions are made out of hurt, and we understand that. My primary concern is always the kids and how the kids feel and the kids' emotions, especially when these kids are old enough to understand what's happening, which is why I feel like it should just be automatically resolved at first. That way, we need to stop putting these kids through these traumas unnecessarily. Sometimes I know it's not easy to admit that something happens. And there's a possibility that, you know, you may not be the dad because of a situation. We need to get tested at birth. Or you could just request it at the hospital. You don't even have to explain it. You could be like, I want to give you a peace of mind that this is your child, that we're going to do a test at birth. And that way you have confirmation, you have, you know, give them that peace of mind. You know, I said that when we were on break that we have everything else in life requires us to verify that it's us, for us to have our name on it. I believe that men should have that opportunity when it comes to their kids to verify that it's theirs. When that baby comes out, they immediately put a bracelet on the baby and the mother to match that baby to the mother to ensure that when that baby goes to the nursery, they know who to return that baby to. It happens immediately. That is to confirm who the mother is for the child. We should confirm the dad as well. That's all I'm saying. The dad should have the same opportunity that us moms have. We carry those babies, we give birth to them, and the dads have to wait for that process to happen, and we should give them, be able to, feelings aside, or if you do have feelings, to still just give them that opportunity.
That's why they said mama's baby, papa's maybe. So just consider the guy's feelings in this. I mean, like, it may not even have anything to do with you. If he asks for that paternity test, try not to take it too personal. Yes, there may be a period of you feeling some type of way, but I mean, on your end, at least he can't deny it later. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know, he know everything out there. Go ahead and lie if you want. I get it, paperwork.
And even if something happens, for instance, and you know, you need to establish child support or whatever, it's already been established.
Exactly.
It'll just be easier for you to do. So, you know, it has its different reasons to do it, but the main reason should just be that should be able to just be able to confirm out the gate that it is their child. And if they don't want to confirm, it should be their option as well. Just like it's our option to decide if we want to be mothers or not, the dad should have an option to confirm that they are the father.
Right. Marisha said, of course he's not wrong. The trust has been broken. Respect has been lost. That reply is in response to the question that I posed, which was, if a man finds out that the child isn't his, is he wrong for leaving not only the mom, but the child alone? If we think about it, because there are no consequences for lying about paternity, it will continue to happen. So if there were to be consequences for lying about paternity, what should they be? I mean, the woman may actually not know. And I'm not calling nobody out the name, but I mean, if you slept around quite a few times and they were close together, or maybe even two, one with two different people, you might not know for real. So it may not be a lie. Mandatory tests should be done before these women are eligible to file for child support. Oh boy, I ain't gonna say that one there. Facts, just look blank. I ain't calling that name there. He was the first person I thought about. It's he who will not be named. Black lips are common characteristic of black men. Still need to get paternity testing no matter what the emotional parent says. Oh, he changed it to black people, y'all, because I was wondering about that. I thought black lips was because you to smoke. Notice how when women go to social versus men go to social media about being cheated on, look at their reaction. There lies the problem. And I know exactly what he's talking about, because when a man goes to social media to vent or whatever, the reaction is it's against him usually, like he did something wrong, as opposed to if a woman does it, which is another reason why you need to stay off social media when you have something going on with you for real. It's not a safe space. Men shouldn't have to always be noble. These women need to own up and tell the truth point blank. Gentleman Sal says, I get nervous when we start talking about making things automatic for women's bodies when we say make paternity testing automatic or mandatory at birth. Okay, so I understand where you're coming from with that, Dick. However, there are a battery of tests that are already being performed. Do they consent to those? Do they consent to each and every single one of those? If that is an issue, maybe we can put a consent for the paternity part, but the father is the one that approves it. You know what I'm saying? Like, there are ways around that. I understand. Yes, it is the woman's body, but technically the baby is out the body now, ain't it? You know what I'm saying? Like, we ain't talking about an abortion. We talking about the baby that's already out.
Yeah, because on the birth paper, there's a mother and a father. And if a father is going to put his name on the line, there should be some type of, like you said, when I say mandatory at birth, I do mean that, of course, it's not like without the parents are aware. It's not like you're just doing it blindly. But like you said, there's a battery of tests that are performed on babies when they're born to test for certain things. And if you don't want it to happen, you have to tell them. Otherwise, they do perform those tests. And we're just saying that in that conversation, this is one of those conversations, and the dad is the one who can decide to say no. You know, I don't want it to happen. I'm okay with, I know this is my, whatever that may be. Because you've already did the verification for the mom. And so I'm not saying that it's just like a march on forward, no conversation thing, gentlemen. So we're just saying that it should happen at birth, is what we're saying. It should happen before you sign the birth paper.
Exactly. Along with the battery of tests that are already going to happen at birth. You know what I'm saying? Like, why not just add one more? Because it is a swab or a blood. Like, this isn't invasive. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's not, it doesn't even have to be invasive. And in case you're wondering what we're referring to, we're going to run the clip one more time if you're just joining us.
If he went ahead and took a paternity test without your knowledge, and then you found out about it, would that upset you?
Yes. I mean, if he doesn't tell you, doing anything behind your, communication and trust is bigger than the relationship. I mean, trust is the relationship, in my opinion.
Women are always assured of paternity. Men are the only ones who are ever going to have doubts about paternity. I don't think that it even has anything to do with whether or not they trust their partner, but rather it's just peace of mind. So if you set up the option of, if you asked me for a paternity test, I would get super offended and I would be upset about it. What choice are you giving them except to go ahead and go behind your back?
The thing is, my expectation is that he trusts me.
Yeah, but I'm not sure that it's an indicator he doesn't.
No, that raised another question for me, right? Did she make a good point to everybody listening, or what I'm saying, or in the chat right now? Did the lady have a point when she said it's just about trust for me? Is that me breaking your trust if I don't tell you that I got a paternity test? Because you do kind of have to sneak and get a swab, or when the baby's with you and she's not around. Like, did she make a valid point there?
She did. It is. If anything that you're doing behind your partner's back can lead to breaking the trust between you and your partner. You're sneaking to do it for a reason, right? Mm-hmm. So whether it's the testing or anything else, it's a sign of breaking her trust, or your partner's trust. So I do agree. But I guess I don't, for that particular instance, or many people's instance, some guys don't like to do the confrontation because it's going to turn into a hurt situation and hurt emotion. And you don't trust me and you don't love me and I never cheat on you, and they're going to have to go through the whole process. And I don't think they're going to get the result that they actually want, which is to get the test done. And I'm not saying that it's not easy to have that conversation. I just want to be very clear. It's not an easy conversation for a guy to bring up. Mm-hmm. It's not an easy conversation for us as women to hear and to process. I am not talking blindly. I am not talking out of my ears. I understand it's a difficult conversation. I very much know so. But feelings aside, I know without a shadow of a doubt that's my child. What shadow of a doubt do dads have? My word is his shadow of a doubt.
Basically.
And we've seen, and we know, we continue to see sometimes in small instances that some people do lie even with the shadow of a doubt. And those lies impact children's lives as well. So we need to be aware that it's not easy. We know it's not easy, but it needs to be done.
Hey, I hope I heard that. I'm glad a woman said it and I didn't say it. That, hey, sometimes, because I, in my opinion, men do a lot of emotional heavy lifting, right? And you heard her say that we may be going behind her back just to avoid that emotional heavy lifting. From now, if I bring it to her, it's going to be a whole bunch of stuff that we're going to have to deal with emotionally, and it's going to change the topic of conversation. If a man is going to have a paternity test and he feels the need that he has to go behind your back, he could be avoiding that conversation, because now when I bring it to her, it's going to be about her and her feelings, which, like Marisha said, first thing she said, for me and not for us. Because it wasn't about his feelings anymore. It automatically became about her and how she felt about what he was thinking or what he was feeling. And that does happen. We need to talk about that for real. Like, men do avoid things sometimes because it's like, if I bring this to her, how I feel about this, all of a sudden the conversation will switch and they're going to be about how I made her feel with me telling her about how I felt. The problem is, even if a man asks and she agrees, it might be the beginning of the end of the relationship, regardless of outcome. There's some men who opt to avoid going through it. I mean, yeah, they might avoid the whole thing and just go on not knowing, just because they don't want to have that difficult conversation. And that's real too.
Yeah, but then what they also do is they check out the relationship. While they're still in the relationship, they check out. They're not helping with the child. They're not going to activities. They don't go to the school meetings. They don't go watch and play sports. You know, they check out. So it's then again, do you want them to be? Do you want to co-parent from afar, or do you want to have another parent in the house that you have to move around? You know, like I don't want to have to be in a space with someone where we're tiptoeing around each other for long periods of time, because we both don't want to have, or one person doesn't want to have a hard conversation. It's gonna happen when the relationship comes to the end, regardless. That's gonna pop up, because guess what? Most women, when relationships fall apart, the first thing they're gonna do is put you on child support. Right? So, and then you still have to do the paternity after the fact. So,
yeah. Hey, I'm to be clear, I'm not against child support at all. I'm not against it at all. Because some of these men, you'll be overdoing it, and I need to be on child support. Like y'all will leave a woman with 4 children and only want to pay $150 a month. Like somehow be extra, and then we'll complain about the $150 a month. And anytime she buy anything, you think it's your But anyway, maybe that's another topic for another day. But that'll upset me. Please don't come to me complaining about child support if you ain't paying like 1,000 plus. Please shut up. Hush. All right, but
I only mention child support because usually when you do that, some states then go through the paternity process with the dad before they put them on child support. That's why I said something happens after the fact. Yeah.
I feel you. It's not your fault I got triggered, but yeah. Yeah, I'm with you. So before we go to the break, we're gonna introduce one final topic to kind of ease out of it, right? I want to know, do we as Black people, do we kind of complain, or we put our focus and our energy into things that we really shouldn't? Like, do we get angry and waste a lot of rage on things that we don't need to? So I'm going to explain this to those that's listening on the radio and the tuning app. Big up yourself. But so I'm going to post this picture. So Heinz is receiving backlash, right? After they come out with an ad campaign design, where in the campaign, it's a bride in the middle of the picture and the groom is next to her, and then who's obviously her mother is next to them, right? But on the opposite side of the picture, it's the groom's parents, both parents. She only has her mother. He, who is white, has both parents there in the picture. So they received a lot of backlash for it. So go ahead and chew on that. Is that something we should be mad about? Was it a mistake, or what do you think? But keep it locked right here. We'll be right back after these messages. Chat. What I say? Hey, yo, she said, old girl, she think that she was gaslighting when she has said that about, that it's a breach of trust. It could be. It very well could be. Darren says Black people do complain a lot, and a lot of fake outrage. Child support is for true need of the children. It can be to keep a roof over their head, etc. It's both just to clothe or feed them. Child support is necessary for people that don't handle their business. I feel like as a man, you should handle your business regardless. You know what I'm saying? If you're not, then yeah. But it'll be, the only time I get upset is when, like, it's the guy that is handling the business. He's in the children's life. He's doing, right? And then because she upset, she still goes and does the child support thing. Like that's the only time that it bothers me. I do see why it's necessary, especially if you ain't trying to have your children, sir. Like, get your kids then. Gentlemen, South, not enough Black fathers are home. That's true, and it's unfortunate.
It is very unfortunate.
It's unfortunate because children need both parents in their life, regardless of if you're in the home, you should still be in their life. But there is a large group of fathers not in the home, and because it's statistically, that puts the child in a position to lose. When I say lose, I mean on every measurable standard as far as education, how they adjust as adults. You know what I'm saying? All of those standards, they're at the bottom rung. And that's statistically. I have somebody on my timeline who complains about everything, me calling their name, but they're getting annoyed. All right, there.
I didn't hear the last part. You said they complain about everything.
Me calling their name, but again annoying. That was from Darren.
Oh.
If the mom's struggling and need to ask for child support to take care of the kids, why not give the child to the father who you're asking for money from? Does he want to take the children? At that point, he could have taken her to, like, he's probably been to court already if he on child support, right? Is that how it works? I don't know. I can't relate. Is that how it works? Like when you help me out in the chat. When you get put on child support, you have to go through court proceedings. Like you could try to get your children first, right? Or am I tripping? Like he had an opportunity to prove that he can care for them and he wants them and stuff like that. Is that not how it goes with child support? Or they just like, whoever filed, we're going to go with that? How does that work?
So technically, they always favor the mother for child support. So the mother, you have to really prove that the mother is...
Hold on. We can't say always. We cannot say always.
I'm talking about in court. I'm just talking about in court.
All right. We can't say always. All right, go ahead.
No, I was going to say that the court requires that they favor the mother, and you have to prove that the mom is not capable or competent to take care of the kids for dads to usually have custody. And for a lot of those cases, it's not easy to do, even though you have substantial evidence, because they will put moms through coaching and classes and all of the things, but dads don't get that in return. It's deduct your wages and be there for your child. And not all dads are bad. We have amazing men in our community that wants to be great fathers, and some kids and some women, not because we're the mother, means that we're good moms.
True.
And that's a fact.
We're coming back. What's going on? Thanks for joining us on 101.3 Row FM. You're listening to A Different Day with Jah and
Neci.
So we were covering multiple topics. I'm sorry if you just got here late because you're coming basically to the end of the show. But keep in mind that we're on air every Sunday from 4 to 6 p.m. That is from 3 to 5 if you're in the mainland, now that I know that. But from 4 to 6 if you're in the home of homes, the U.S. Virgin Islands. So what we were talking about most recently is, do Black people complain and get upset and waste a lot of rage and energy on things that really shouldn't bother us? So Heinz put out a ad, a promotion. I think it was a billboard, right? They received backlash from the Black community because in their design, it was a groom, a white groom, a Caucasian groom, and a Black wife, right? So the Black wife is in the center of the image, and the husband is on her left side, and next to the husband is the mother, is the bride's mother, right? So there's the Black mom all the way to the end of the screen of the ad, and on the right of the bride, there's the groom's parents, both parents. So Black people got upset because it's like, why you have to show this image with her with one parent and just like a single mother? So Heinz has since, with the outrage that they received, they've since apologized about the ad and they took it down. Right? So do we waste too much time getting upset about things that we shouldn't even really be concerned about? What do you think, Neci?
I do agree with the outrage. I think the perceived notion that because she is Black or African American means she only has a mother there are many children that come from two-parent households. I think that image should be depicted if we're trying to be inclusive. So I do agree with the outrage regarding this. I do agree with the outrage. I think they should have portrayed a mother and father for the bride as they did the groom. I do think I like that they're trying to be inclusive with having a biracial couple. I'm showing what the fabric of America does look like. We do know that African Americans do come from single parent home, but so do Caucasians. So we can't just assume because they're Caucasian that they have two parents and the black person doesn't. I think that's an unfair bias.
I'd like to know what the chat thinks about this one. Like, is this something to get upset about for real? Personally, I didn't even really catch it until they are done apologize. Like, I don't know why, but this one, I feel like we got too much going on to be concerned about it. But I want to say that I also recognize that stereotypes in advertising and marketing are real. Like, they do put those images out, and I don't believe it's a coincidence. You know what I'm saying? Like, they could have made the picture a little bit smaller and put a black father in there. But, this is also an issue that is caused by not having black people in certain spaces, or more black people in certain spaces. Because if you have had more diversity in the marketing room when they're having these meetings and they're creating the ads, maybe someone would have told you this before you put the ad out. And you need to listen to those people too, especially when you're doing something like this. I think that's the bigger issue, not having enough black faces in certain spaces.
Yeah, I agree with you. The only thing I don't agree with you said is about we have enough things going on that we should talk about than this. I think we could worry about multiple things at once or try to solve multiple things at once. And sometimes when you let little things like this slide through the cracks and and they feel it goes unnoticed, that they find other ways of continuing the behavior as well in bigger ways. So I think we could be outraged at this while we're also pushing the inclusivity and diversity and so forth, and making sure that we're putting more of ourselves in certain rooms and certain conversations, and making sure we're having a diverse group of people that are overlooking these type of marketing campaigns to ensure how it will affect people. We can't fix everything all at once. We can't. I think with inclusivity, it's going to always be something that might offend someone. But I think this personally was unnecessary. I think that it was poorly thought out. That was just like H&M had that poor campaign a few years ago with the black student. They haven't done it again since because we had were outraged about it. So I think we can do both. We could do multiple things at once, and that's how we should approach things.
Fair enough. That's fair. Gentleman Style says Bath and Body Works did the same thing with their Christmas special scented candles. They released this. I did see this. They released a Christmas. They released a Christmas scented candle. And the branding was supposed to be a snowflake, and it looked like the KKK. Again, I think that would have been avoided had they had more black people in their spaces. You get what I'm saying? Like, we would have caught on to that immediately. Darren says if they were really outraged, instead of making noise, hit their pockets, then outrage would make sense. You see, that's another thing that I have an issue with when it comes to black outrage. Like, are you going to do something about it? Like, are you going to make them really feel it, or you going to just be okay with them pulling the ad? You get what I'm saying? Like, if they did that, chances are it was multiple people that made this decision, and we'd have tried to make it seem like once they apologized, this was a mistake. Was it though? Because these people went to school and they very much spend a lot of time trying to decide. Like, they go over the demographics, where this going to play most, where this going to go over well at. They spend a lot of time analyzing who's going to see it and where we should place it, all these other stuff. but then they apologize like it was a mistake. I don't know how it happened. So how, if you want to take outrage and you really want to do something with it, then do something. Don't just cuss and go on and then still buy the product.
Yeah, and some of these marketing, before they put things out, they put them in test cycles and testing groups, and then so maybe you need to have a more diverse testing group when you're putting these things out to see how people feel about it, and you probably need to try multiple testing groups around multiple communities, because maybe in America it might be okay, but in Europe you can't post that ad because it will culturally offend them, right? So you need to be able to test it in multiple markets to see what ad you're putting where, and make sure that group represents the area where you're trying to market it at.
So Maureen said, "You should have known better," though. I agree. That's why I said I don't know if these things are quote unquote mistakes. Marcus since it was.
They're just sorry about it.
Exactly. They're sorry that they got called out about it. Gentleman Style says, I think that was a genuine mistake, not intentional. I think the mistake is in thinking that it's going to slide by. You get what I'm saying? Like nobody's going to notice. I think that's a mistake. In the ad, did they mention anything about the absence of her father? They did not. They didn't. They just did the picture and they had their little words on the ad. They didn't mention it. It's black people that got upset because we noticed it. And with that, hey, we got to go. It's coming up on that time. Neci, do you have a message for the people? Do you want to leave us with?
I do. I have a message for the people. That's easy for me to do.
All right, let's do it.
Let's see. So for today's message for the week, we can say every day nobody can go back and start over a new day, a new week, a new beginning, but you can, or a new tomorrow. What you can do is start right now. The only time you have is now. Your future time has not been given to you. Use every moment wisely.
Live in the present. I love it. I love it. And with that, we're out of here. But tune in next week, every Sunday from 4 to 6 p.m. That is St. Croix time. That's Virgin Islands time. 3 to 5 p.m. in Eastern Standard Time. Keep it locked here on 101.3 Raw FM. We still got more for you. All right. It's all love. Thank you, guys. Have a good rest of your week. Don't let nobody play you. We out.
Bye.
All right, chat. What did y'all think about that episode? Talk to me. What do y'all think about the episode? Did you like it? You got any pointers, any feedback? I should have known better. I feel like they do. They spend too much time analyzing these things not to, man.
Well, they don't no longer have to be diverse and inclusive, and all those things are being rolled back now. So they're probably trying to start to slide things back in there where they could get away with, because they got it.
All right, yeah. So, guys, please, thank you. Darren says, cool episode. Gentlemen saw, great job. Well done. They need to pay up. Next time, remember, daylight saving. Hey, I'd only make the same mistake once in it. So, yeah, next time, I definitely know to start early. Dulcina, big up yourself, Dolce. Great job. Go ahead and share the live, please. Let people know. Don't stop. Stop this.
What a nickname was?
So, thank you guys for joining a different day with Jah and Neci. You're tuned in next Sunday and share this live. Let people know that we on air and we live and we doing it. We really one of the best. So keep it locked on 101.3 Raw FM, the #1 station in the U.S. Virgin Islands. We out. Love you. Peace. All right, so we off air. We off.